Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today we are going to be setting up my bullet journal for the month of September. For September, I decided, what other theme could I possibly do than Lord of the Rings, and specifically a Hobbit hole. As we all know, September is when Frodo and Bilbo have their birthday, and I've just been in such a big Lord of the Rings mood. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna lean into that, and we're gonna do a Hobbit themed bullet journal, because I've actually never done like any Lord of the Rings themed bullet journaling, which I know is kind of insane. So I figured, you know what, now is the time. So right now I'm just doing my little cover page, and I'm just drawing a little Hobbit hole door. Definitely I think I could have gotten more detailed with this, but you know, that's the beauty of bullet journaling. You can make it as detailed or as simple as you want it to be. So like I said, just have like the little hill, if you will, and then drew a big round door and it's pretty simple, but I think it's really cute. I think it turned out nice. So that's what I'm doing for my cover page here, and then I'll be doing a quote page next to it. I've been doing this kind of setup of cover page and quote page recently, and I think that it's a really fun way to have more of a theme, because even though I don't flip back to these pages very often, I do like to flip back and look at them and see what artwork I made, and I think it's just a fun opportunity to sit down and do some art, because I don't do art for art's sake very often, and I think bullet journaling is really when I am able to have that time to just sit down and make some art. And so definitely that's why I've been doing this kind of like cover page situation. Even though these pages aren't necessarily functional, they are functional in the sense that their function is to help me do art, do more art more often. So yeah, I'm glad that I've been incorporating that lately in my bullet journal themes. And then I just added some little like dots and stars at the top just to add some more details and make it fun. And then I'm just writing September at the bottom in kind of like a serif-y, very skinny serif-y font. Then moving on to the quote page, I decided to put this kind of floral-y frame around the quote, because at first I just wrote the quote and I was like, this looks lame, and then I remembered the frames exist. And so that's what I'm doing here, is just kind of drawing out these different leaves and flowers to create a frame around the quote, and that way it looks a little bit more structured and like it's meant to be there, and not just like I wrote something down on that page really quick. So the quote that I chose is, all we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And this is a quote that Gandalf says in the Fellowship, basically when Frodo says that he wishes all the bad things never happened. And I chose this quote because I think it's one of the most applicable quotes from Lord of the Rings. There are a lot of very applicable quotes from Lord of the Rings that are really inspirational, but I always really love this one because I love the way it's delivered. Gandalf has so much love for Frodo, and he is trying to inspire him and tell him things are going to be okay, but also say like, hey, you don't have control over things, and that's all right. It's just up to you to decide what you're going to do with your time. And so I just feel like that really applies, and it's something that I think about sometimes when I'm having a hard time. It's like, you know what? I can't control the bad things that happen in my life, but I can control what I decide to do with the time that I have here. And so, yeah, that's why I chose this quote. I just think that it's very tender and loving. So yeah, so I'm just finishing up the frame here. I'm using the Cottage set of Tombos. I got it a couple years ago and I love it. I want to get more Tombos. If you are starting in bullet journaling, or you've bullet journaled for a while and maybe you've used the cheaper brush pens and you're like, I don't know if it's worth buying a Tombow, I do think it's worth it. If that's in your budget and something that you're able to do, they're really, really high quality and they last for a long time. And I've found that they have lasted longer and been much, much higher quality than just like the, cheap pack that I got on Amazon. So that is something that I do think is worth it. If you've been considering buying some Tombow dual brush pens, this is my endorsement of them. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to my weeklies. I like to do a Dutch door setup. So basically what I do is I cut off a strip. In this case, it's a vertical strip of the sides of my paper, and then those will be what's left is my weeklies, and on either side where the paper has been cut away, you can see both of those side panels. No matter where you are in the month, no matter what week you're on, you can see the side panels. So I love doing this because then I can see the big picture monthly things that I need to look at and not have to flip back, because I'm so bad about flipping back in my bullet journal when I've done, every single page individually, and then I have like a big page at front for all these things I put on my side panels. I never flip back to them. And so then they become really useless, and that's not what I want. I want them to be functional. So on the left side, I always have a mini calendar. That way I just kind of know where I am in the month. It's easy to reference. And then my video schedule. Obviously, this is specific to me as somebody who creates content, but you could really put whatever you want there. I've put habit trackers there in the past, and that can be really, really helpful. You can put a quote there, you can put things you want to remember there, whatever it may be. And then on the right side, I put a little TBR section that stands for to be read, and video ideas, where I can just write down any idea that pops into my head of videos that I might want to make for that month. So yeah, I never follow a TBR super specifically. To be honest, I mostly just read like what comes off hold from the library, but I do like to kind of write down, look into my Libby and see like, okay, these are the books that are supposed to be coming off hold soon, and write them down. That way just kind of a general vibe of like, oh yeah, this is some fun reading that I have coming up. And sometimes I read what I write down and sometimes I don't, but I still think it's fun to document and kind of see what's ahead in my reading journey. And then for both of these kind of side panels, I just added in those same leaf motifs as the quote page. That way it kind of ties it all together as one theme. I will say these pages aren't as specifically hobbity. I did put some vegetables, so I feel like that makes it a little bit more hobbity. But yeah, so that way it just still can tie in with the theme, but be simple. So then here's where I'm actually setting up my first weekly, so hopefully this makes a little more sense. I feel like I wasn't explaining it super well. So that kind of space in the middle where I'm drawing these rectangles, that's where I put my weeklies every single week. And then, for the next week I'll flip the page and I can still see those side panels. For me, I just do 6 boxes. 1 is to do, and then Monday through Friday, because I never write anything down on the weekends. I used to put boxes for the weekends and it just took up space and I never used them. So I do Monday through Friday and then just an overall to-do list for the entire week. That way I can kind of see like what's ahead for the week. And I found that this system works really, really well for me. Sometimes I switch it up, and lately I've just been sticking with this because it's what works really well. And as you can see, peeking out, my daughter did get a hold of my bullet journal the other day and did add some scribbles. So, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'll have to just write over top of those scribbles, but that's okay. That's what happens when you're a mom who owns things near your children. So this is how it turned out. I think this turned out really cute. I think it's fun and simple, but still invokes that Lord of the Rings cozy hobbit feeling, and I'm excited for all of the adventures that I will have in the month of September and to just enjoy the beginning of fall. I'm so ready for it to be fall. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!